Hey guys, so this is what I wanted to show you, not specifically this thing. Now, I had an idea, right, to kind of use springs with scissor jacks, stork bills, linkages, okay, whatever their name is. I'm so confused right now. Um, okay, so the idea was to get one link, linkage to expand while the other one compresses on its own weight, right? So I was trying to actually get okay um, to get one weight higher, right? While another one was getting lower. So obviously this was not the design to try, so I developed a bit of a different linkage if I find it, because I messed with a lot of files in the past days. Um, Maybe this one is. Yeah, okay, so this is a bit of a different linkage type. Um, so as you can see, this one, when it is getting compressed on this side, uh, it's it raises up the weight. But the thing is that if this one behaves like this, uh, the other one should behave differently, right? Not the same way. Um, I've not yet figured out how to do that, but I might. Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, I got some ideas from using springs, and I actually not seen. There might be. I mean, I don't know. I've just scratched the surface into what other people did and do. Um, okay, so I realized that um, you can actually charge two springs with the same weight. So what do I mean by that? Um, on this crossbar we have this heads, like a pogo stick, right? And when it drops on this piston. So almost all the weight in this crossbar, except this part, compresses a spring here, and all the weight, not just with actually with this piece as well, compresses again a piston into the rim. So you get two springs compressed uh, at the same intensity by the same weight. Now, I told you in my post, sorry, that kind of contraption would be needed. And why is that? As you can see, here is the current force of on the spring, the tension, the in this case negative tension. And as we go forward now, there was a bit of fluctuation here because uh, the weight just dropped and it fluctuated a bit. But let's say this comes from here, right, somewhere from here. the moment of full charge, it will be in this direction. When all the weight, it will be vertically on these springs. And as the springs move away from 6 o'clock, there will be less and less tension or pressure on them, because some of the axle or the wheel will start to take some of the weight of this crossbar. Now, the thing is that as it goes forward, you'll start to see in a few frames forward that the springs will start to release some of that tension accumulated, but that will happen like gradually, right? Now you see, going further and further, the effect will gonna get bigger. I see. So my idea is like to actually get these two springs uh, compressed to the maximum. Uh, Also, the more centrifugal force will be, that will also play some effect into compressing the spring, but the biggest, it will actually act like a double edge, because on one way it will help you compress the spring more, but it will try to keep the weight on this side as well. But the most powerful position to actually compress uh, the springs, it will be 6 o'clock always, if you place this according to gravity, right? So the compression, um, I'm sorry, I can't find my words. Contraption should actually release all the tension of the spring somewhere around here, right? Bessler says he has one uh, one half of his wheel empty and one full, but that can mean that, like, we have this crossbar, right? This half could be full and this empty, or the reverse, or this half could be full and this empty, or this half could be full and this empty. And actually this would work if this half would be full and this empty. Like every time you get the crossbar in this position, you would be able to shoot it like with a crossbow from the tension that you get into the spring. um, that would actually do it, right? Because you would shoot this bar on this in this direction, and with the momentum that's built into the wheel, it will act on this side, giving it more power, more torque. um, Let me show you something a bit. Oh no. Or, okay, so this is a graph for this spring here and this spring here. So as you see, they mirror mirror themselves. back and forth depending on their position, right? And now they will spike again. Um, it's There is a bit of a difference because I've set up the springs a bit differently with different strengths. So the recordings will be a bit different, but if I use the exact same settings for both springs, they would actually mirror themselves perfectly, or almost, since there is a bit less weight on the crossbar than on the piston. So here we got big spikes obviously because there is this big drop here when the crossbar falls like this, it spikes the springs. It compresses them really hard, so we get these spikes. Now the way I'm thinking about this mechanism, this wouldn't happen. Although it would be nice to get some spikes as big as this and to be able to release them whenever we want, but I don't know what to say about that. Don't know if it's possible right now, because obviously the more fall you have, the bigger the impact on the springs and the bigger compression you're gonna get. And if you can trap that at one particular moment and you can release it whenever it suits your needs, that would be awesome. Now, okay, so this video got a bit long. That was what I wanted to show you. At least part of it. There's one more thing related to the angles. Um, Let me stop this a bit. And this is right. So I've I don't have an example right now. Let me actually use a motor here. Oh, this is going to go really slow. Uh, let me see. Um, okay, let me disable the joint so we can see better. Okay, so it's related to this type of linkage. Depending on the angle of these two pieces, some really weird things are happening. Maybe we'll be able to see here or not. I've noticed in some other designs, but very similar, that if this linkage is, like I said, the angle here it's a bit smaller, the exact reverse will happen. What, so let me pause it a bit. Okay, so What does that mean? It means that these linkages will drop, this weight will drop, but it will gain distance in a different way. This, if because if this part compresses, this part expands because they're like in reverse. Um, I don't know, it's hard to explain you without the image, but it's something funny I found out, like in kind of a very similar setup. Like when the all this weight drops, like this part actually compresses and the crossbar is actually pushed upwards because this part is it's mm, reversing, right? It's kind of funny. I'll do more experiments on that and I will show you one of these days. Okay, goodbye for now.